Alright. To bring an end to all of the information given from the reading of the year, in order to ensure that the blessings of this year, which will be in the form of children, money, and many people will find unexpected money, in order to ensure that these things manifest, then we have to cease engaging in any activity that could shorten our lives. Also take steps to realign ourselves with our Ori and our equinox, which I will discuss later. And this means that we will do many head cleansings this year and consistent deep meditation for the whole 12 months of this year. In its entirety, the Odu for this year is letting us know that we're in the process of becoming richly blessed, and we must prepare ourselves in advance for the increase in responsibility that these blessings will bring. Ashe. If you are interested in receiving the download for the reading of the year from Oshun, please leave your email address in the comment section of the YouTube video, and I will send it to you when I retrieve your address. So, these are the Orisha classes for the Oshe Tour Institute. Previously, for 2010 and 2011, what I was doing was following the lunar calendar and going by which astrological sign or which zodiac sign, I'll say just to be clearer, each new moon was falling in for the month. I decided not to do that this year because those particular zodiac signs do not speak to an African reality. So I'm going to move forward with doing something different, something revolutionary, and begin to research so that we can be doing it from a perspective that's more ancient. But for right now, I just don't think that it's wise to do it that way, so we're going to move forward. This year, this Gregorian year will be 2012. The Nile year, once that particular new year begins, will be 6,252. And the Yoruba year, or the Anago year, will be 10,054. So as African people, as indigenous people, as primal people, we are the fruit of an ancient tree. Our civilizations, our empires, our ways of life, our spiritual systems, our religions, if you wish to use that term, are that ancient. Western thought process, Western philosophy, Western religions are that new, are that modern. They are actually the traditions that are new age. If my tradition is 10,054 years old, then it is a complete misnomer to refer to it as something new age. But that's a different topic for a different time. So what we're going to do is go into a discussion of the Orisha, the cosmic forces, the forces of nature that are a part of us, that influence our lives, and that influence the universe constantly, all the time. So the first thing that we're going to do, the first entity or being or deity that we're going to touch upon is Ori. We just spoke of Ori when we talked about the reading of the year, and now we're going to go a little bit more in depth into what Ori is and how you propitiate and deal with Ori. So I'm going to use the introductions given for each spiritual being in my book on my Akbani, which is available on Amazon. And then I'm going to elaborate on each one. So, from the perspective of our ancestors, Ori Nikan Loto Alasan Barokun is the phrase that best describes what Ori is. And that says, it is Ori alone who accompanies you on the distant journey without turning back. This Odu was given when Orunmila, who was another Orisha, asked the question to all of the other cosmic forces and said, which one of you will accompany these beings that have to go back and forth between the spirit realm and the physical realm? Which one of you will accompany them back and forth to that distant journey to the physical realm without turning back. And each Orisha said that they would. But when Orumala said to Obatala, for example, well, Obatala, if you're in the process of accompanying this being to the physical plane, and you come to Ejibo, which is Obatala's sacred city, what are you going to do? And Obatala said, oh, I have to stop. They will be feasting me in Ejibo. They will be worshiping me in Ejibo. I will stop. And that means that the devotee will be left alone. So Orumala went down the line for each Orisha and asked, which one of you can accompany this being without turning back? None of them would, with the exception of Ori. So this is one of the ways that Ori became the head of all the Orisha, of all the cosmic forces. Now Ori is housed in your physical head. So the physical head, from an African perspective, is always adorned. It's always very well cared for, and it's always very protected. In the Anago tradition, the men wear beautiful filas upon their heads. And I have my daughter happens to be reading the book that has the brother on the back that has a beautiful fila on. But the brothers wear beautiful filas upon their heads to adorn their Ori. The brothers also sometimes wear their hair very elaborately styled to adorn their Ori. The sisters wear beautiful and very, very large and elaborate geles to adorn their Ori. And they have very elaborate hairstyles as well. This is all a way of propitiating Ori and thanking Ori and keeping Ori cool and keeping it calm and satisfied. So that's a part of our tradition. You may remember your grandmother's admonitions or your mother's admonitions about not leaving your hair somewhere if you went to the barbershop or if you went to the hairdresser. I'm from a small southern town, and I'm an older generation, and so after the hairdresser combed your hair, she'd take all the hair out of the comb and put it in your hand so that you could take it with you. When we combed our hair outside, we would burn the hair to keep the hair from being left outside so that a bird wouldn't get it. And we had a lot of traditions based on your head and hair. You didn't let just anybody touch your head. And if you went to school and your mother had put your hair in a particular style and you came home and it was in another style, she knew that somebody had touched your hair, you were going to be in very deep trouble, because not just anybody was allowed to touch your hair or your head. The head was still held in very high esteem when I was a little girl. All of these are retentions of the African tradition and the African understanding of Ori. Ori is the spiritual manifestation of your destiny. Ori is the spark that animates this particular incarnation is animated by Ori. Ori is that spark. And that's why the Odu calls the Ori the cause and the creator. It is your Ori that began the process of the cells dividing in your mother's womb. It is your Ori that guided you through your mother's vaginal canal. That's why the Ori came out first, because it was guiding the rest of the body out into the physical realm. It is your Ori that gave you the inclination to imitate spoken word and to imitate walking. And your Ori, because it houses your destiny and it knows the reason that you decided to incarnate this time, will lead you and guide you to where you're supposed to be to fulfill this destiny. So what our ancestors did and what they placed the highest importance on was your relationship with Ori, your personal relationship with your Ori. The Odu says that no Orisha will bless you without the consent of your Ori. So if Oshun, for example, is trying to bless me, and my Ori does not consent to that, I will not receive that blessing. Ori is the head of all of the Orisha. There is no Orisha higher than Ori. So, you are to propitiate Ori daily. What you do for your Ori on earth, your Iponri will do before Olodumare in the spirit realm. So any type of propitiation that you do to your Ori, any type of adornment, any type of care that you take with your Ori, that same kind of care will be taken with your Ori in the ancestral realm, in the spirit realm that our ancestors call Orun. Now, Ori, this is the deity that is made up of all of your collective incarnations. This is all of the lives that you have lived and all of the lives that you will live. And they make up one beautiful deity called your Ori. And this is, several Ori. So, but that's all you. It's all you, and it is still in the ancestral realms. And through this Ori, the current Ori that you're using, then you have contact with that Ori. So however you treat this head, that head is responding in the spiritual realm, in Orun. So there is no line of demarcation between the physical and the spiritual. It is one place that is constantly interacting like this. Okay? It is complementary opposites. That spiritual and that physical. There's no line of demarcation. There's not a difference between them. They need each other. They are codependent and interrelated halves of the same calabash. And that's the way that our ancestors describe the physical realm and the spiritual realm, as a calabash that has been broken in half. And the spiritual realm is underneath the physical realm because it holds it up. So your Ori is in the spiritual realm. Your Ori is in the physical realm. And they are moving and working together. So Ori is the first deity that you must create a relationship with. Hello. Because you cannot have a relationship. Okay, go tell the shot. Because you cannot have a relationship with any other deity until you have strengthened and made this relationship as powerful and as strong as possible. Close the door, please. Thank you. So we began our walk down this particular journey of returning to the shrines of our mothers and our fathers by creating a relationship with Ori. You create a relationship with Ori by communicating with Ori daily. It is said that those who rise at sunrise and roll themselves on the ground in propitiation to Ori will break the kola nut of Ashe, meaning they will have the power to make things happen. This is another way that Ori became the head of the Orisha. All of the deities were in Orun, and they were preparing to create the physical realm. And Olodumare said to them, rise at dawn and roll yourself around on the ground before Olodumare, and you will receive the kola nut of Ashe. And the Orisha said, okay. And they will be able to actually break the kola nut of Ashe and receive the Ashe. So the Orisha said, okay. But they were so excited about the possibility of creating the physical realm that they stayed up late. And the only deity that remembered and that was able to rise at dawn and propitiate Olodumare was Ori. And so when the kola nut of Ashe was passed around, only Ori was able to break it and receive that Ashe. So it is said that those who remember to rise at dawn and propitiate their Ori will be able to break the kola nut of Ashe. That's what you want to be able to do. Ashe means the power to make things happen. If you are not getting the power to break the kola nut of Ashe, you're not going to have all of the magical power that you need to make things happen. So when you rise at dawn, you bow before your Ori shrine, because before creating any other altar to any other deity, you create an altar to your Ori. And this particular altar, just going to find, should contain elements that speak of or that show you in your highest possible manifestation. Show the highest you, the best you, or the you that you are seeking to be. And this is on page 123 in my book, Adorning. Set a shrine up to you. Let it reflect all you know yourself to be and all that you wish to become. Let the pictures be pictures of you in an enlightened state. Pictures when you could feel your highest self manifesting, when you experience your God or Goddess essence. Place items on it that speak to who you are and who you will be in the future. Place the shrine in a high place so that you will be reminded to act in an elevated way, or place it on the ground if you need to reestablish your foundations. Use colors and numbers that are significant to you. For your Ori, focus very highly and strongly on the color white. You never use the color black for your Ori, because black is the color that attracts everything else. This is usually too overwhelming for your Ori. So use the color white, because it is a nothingness. It is a calmness that doesn't attract anything else. Go before your Ori shrine 8 days consecutively at dawn. The number 8 is the number used when working with Ori, because it is the number of Obatala, and the area of the body that Obatala rules is the head. Prostrate yourself before your highest self, which is represented by your Ori shrine, and then you're going to recite the following Iwure. This particular Iwure was taught to me by the most illustrious Madahochi Kofi Omowale Zanu Ibaratu, who is now an honored ancestor. Orini Khan, Loto Alasan Barokun, Bimo Balowolowo, Orini Orokun, Orini Iwoni, Bimo Ba Timolaye, Orini Orokun, Orini Iwoni, Ire Bogbo, Timolaye, Orini Orokun, Orini Iwoni. It is Ori alone who can accompany his devotee to any place without turning back. If I have money, it is Ori to whom I will give the praise. My Ori, it is you. If I have children, it is Ori I will praise. My Ori, it is you. All good things, all blessings that I have in the physical realm, it is Ori to whom I will give the praise. My Ori, it is you. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So this is the prayer that you will do every morning before your Ori. And I just want to make sure that you're going to do every morning before your Ori shrine in order to make that connection strong and keep that connection strong and keep yourself as a very intense and powerful conduit of the energy of Olodumare coming up from these spiritual realms. This is the Iwure that you would do every morning. This is the Iwure given after that question that was asked of all the Orisha. Who? Okay. After that question that was asked in the time before time began, as to who can accompany his devotee on the distant journey to the physical realm without turning back, this is the answer to that question. So this is an incantation from the time before time existed. That's how our ancestors would have said it. So that is part of the ancient teaching of Ori, which is the first entity that you should learn to propitiate when you move back into practicing this ancient tradition. The second entity, most important entity, the second most important entity that you must learn to propitiate is Egun. Egun means bones. Egungun means bones upon bones. Very, very high, exalted bones. But Egun means bones. Your Egun are the bones or the remains of those who have lived this life before, who are in your family lineage. And I can share with you my Egun. Make sure you can see them. That's my agon. Whoops, sorry. Fix this thing. So after propitiating Ori and learning and creating a communication, creating a connection with Ori, which you've always had. So it's kind of reestablishing a connection that you had and learning how to trust that connection again. So after doing that, then you want to work towards establishing a relationship with your Egun and your exalted ancestors, which would be your Egungun. So for your Egun, you're going to create an altar of all of your righteous ancestors. All of the ones that you can remember and all of the ones that you cannot. The ones that you can gather pictures of, then gather the pictures and, place them there. The ones that you cannot, if you're fortunate enough to know their names, then you're going to list the names of all of your righteous ancestors. And this particular portion of our understanding of reality and of our tradition, it helps to make life very sweet. Dr. Remember Ani said in her very early book, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. Sorry, pause. Oh, okay.